What's going on, motherfuckers? Welcome to the Crocs and Hot Pockets podcast. My name is Knackers, and today is Sunday, December 12th, 2021, and this is episode number 168. It's a beautiful Sunday. We're getting close here to the end of the year, and this is actually the last podcast of the year because of where the next episode lays down as far as the holiday is concerned. But tonight on the show, we have BishopGP and MiddleAgedStream. Jimmy, how you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. My 49ers won today, so I'm in a great mood, and now I get to hang out with you gents for a bit.
Hell yeah. And how about you, Bishop?
I'm doing good. My 49er has returned to the podcast, so I'm very happy about that. Speaking about his age, not the team that he supports. But happy to have him back. I'm sporting the mustache out of a meme because I did No Shave November without even committing to it. I just happened through being lazy. So I'm happy to have my mustache in representation of Jimmy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Fucking love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. I accidentally closed out of my script for tonight, so I'm just going to do a little bit of stalling while I hobble my way back to episode number 168 of the Crocs. Okay, I'm back. Jimmy, how was your fucking... You had a month off. It's so crazy how you miss one podcast and therefore you get a month off. But
And you're dead to us.
I'm dead.
Damn!
Dead.
He said it, I didn't. This is what happens when you go and do your civic duty and throw people away. Except this guy did not get thrown away. But yeah.
Yo,
Did you have fun?
yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed jury duty. I was telling everyone the story kind of before the podcast, but it was fun to actually serve on a jury. I've been summoned several times, but I've never actually been selected to be on a jury before, so that was kind of cool. And yeah, other than that, just been working and playing video games and streaming. And I got one more week, and then I'm off. My last day of work is Friday the 17th, and then I am off. I go back to work January 3rd. So that'll be a nice little, little over 2 week break.
I have the exact same break.
Nice. Very nice.
Did you just have a vacation as well, though, too?
I mean,
Like, I remember you
I had the
streaming
week of
during the-
Thanksgiving off.
Wow, that was already like 3
Yeah,
weeks ago.
man,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
I know. But yeah, so I've got nice vacation coming up. It's starting to actually, at least for Texas, starting to get a little chilly around here. So it's just, I don't know. It's cool. I still haven't done like any Christmas shopping, so I probably need to take care of some of that this week. Be a good idea.
Speaking of weather, hopefully anybody that was affected by these insane storms that have been here the past couple of days, hopefully you are doing okay. Our heart goes out to you guys. The cliche meme thoughts and prayers. We hope you guys are safe. There were some crazy fucking tornadoes. We just got wind and rain, so it wasn't really bad here. But I mean, just a couple hundred miles south of us in Indiana, in Missouri,
in Kentucky,
in Kansas,
freaking
all absolutely decimated. So hopefully, if it's not you, if it's your family, hopefully everybody's all right. What a terrible situation. There was a terrifying TikTok of where somebody just was recording and then looked out their window and it was just a Darth Vader tornado just in the dark, like in Rogue One before Darth Vader lights up his fucking sword, and you can kind of his sword.
You didn't notice it until
God.
I know exactly the TikTok you're talking about. You didn't notice it till the lightning popped, and then you see it just freaking coming at you like Twister the movie, man. It looked like one of those big ass like F5 tornadoes. I was like, holy shit. That was absolutely that would have been terrifying. Just barreling right toward your house.
Yep.
Oh.
And you think like you have to wonder how strong the winds have to be to tear buildings apart that are built with steel and concrete and like just absolutely decimating anything in its path. Fucking insane and terrifying.
So
I don't even know what to say, man. Scary winds and anything that's like a natural disaster sort of situation makes me just shit my pants. Like I'm so unprepared for that. It scares the shit out of me. Not only that, but like you can survive like a volcano, you just run away, like you just get away from it.
You
a tornado
think
is
so?
But like, you know where the mountain is. You know, a tornado doesn't.
Dude,
a tornado. You know, it's not
here's the
like I
thing.
know where the tornado is gonna land. You know, like if I live close to a mountain that I know is a volcano, that's my own fault. Okay,
Dude, the
like,
volcano.
I'm taking the risk.
You talking about
The ash can kill you before the magma.
the volcano eruption? Did you see that shit
That's
on
not
TikTok?
how that movie with Keanu Reeves worked, man.
There was a volcano that erupted. Where was it?
Wait.
Fuck, I can't. It was like maybe somewhere in the Pacific. And
On that island with the tourists that landed on the island in helicopters. That one.
I don't know. No, I'm talking about something that just happened. I
I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember the name of the place. It was somewhere in the South Pacific, and I can't remember where. But I saw it, and I was like, "Holy shit!" You can just hear some guy just praying in in his language in the background, and I'm just like, dude, it was terrifying, man. This is a huge eruption, and you see the ash and smoke just slowly moving toward the town.
Yep.
It's like, holy crap, man.
Do you think, man, in those more not so fortunate countries where maybe it's an extreme amount of rural and like not a lot of urban, and of course, like you have some of, is it a lot of the Asian continent or the Asian countries that have insane amounts of languages that are all like sort of kind of similar, but they're not all a single language. Like you can have like in a very, very small amount of surface area is like 10 different languages, but that are all in that region. Can you imagine growing up, but nobody knowing that there's a volcano? And then you wake up one day and it's fucking volcano. And Pierce Brosnan is nowhere to be found.
God, man. All I know is I would not want to be... I saw that video and was just like, holy shit. I watched it a couple times, like, was like, wow.
Quick reality check, right? You're like, oh, man. Maybe it's not so cold outside.
Yeah.
God damn. Bishop, what you been up to, man?
Not much, man. Just working and twerking. We did a couple of really cool shows recently on Rivals that I had a ton of work to do on. One of them was this True Gordy soccer or football match. So they did like an IRL soccer game, and it was really cool. There was a bunch of influencers from YouTube and from Twitch and a few other places that took part in this tournament, and it was the first time that I've ever had to make broadcast graphics for for a soccer match, which was kind of cool. And then beyond that, the Chat's Choice Awards happened yesterday or last night. And I actually was the person that modeled the trophy, the PogChamp head and all of that. I was the person that made that, so I got
amazing
to see that. So
work.
It was super cool. Yeah, so if you guys were able to see the show, that was it was my boss's idea for like the concept, and then I did the execution over a weekend just before Thanksgiving. So yeah, it was pretty sweet, pretty fun project. And the other thing, the fun little like Easter egg that came out of it was that I modeled a Twitch emote in 3D for the first time. So the first time that PogChamp has ever been seen in 3D. And I'm the person that made it. So that's kind of cool. So I'm looking at like what we could do to like use that for like emotes or something in other places. So it's a pretty cool thing.
Awesome, man.
Do you have anywhere that I could share that right now? Because I have a way to show it. But I don't know if that's the way you want me to show it.
Yeah, if you just have the video that I sent you, the gold one. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
If you want to put that up on stream, I don't care.
So just the
That's
gold
cool.
one.
Yeah.
Wow, new technology.
Wow, poggers. We have new technology on the show to show things now.
Wow.
All right, you guys are going to see double here, and I apologize, but let's go.
I don't think you're actually sorry.
Look at this technology, man. Knackers is a big time streamer.
I
man.
still don't see
Producing
anything.
Broadcast lead.
Look at that. Bishop created a fucking 3D gold PogChamp.
Wow.
That's so fucking cool, dude.
And it was used on the show yesterday, which is really badass. So, yeah.
I love
I'm
the
really
jaw
excited.
jiggle.
Yeah.
And it was
Slightly
the first time
unhinged.
The jaw jiggle
I ever
sells
modeled. It was the first time I ever modeled anything that was like a real, tangible, like human or living thing. So
Yeah. Oh,
it was
yeah.
pretty cool.
Fucking sick. My man already doing dope things.
That's cool.
One day you're going to get sucked, buddy. Where is my podcast folder? There it is. Dude, there's nothing worse than trying to navigate a stream deck while you're live.
Yeah, look at it. I can see myself in OBS. Pogger.
You know, one of the next things that I have like a 2022 channel overhaul list, and it's all the things that I need to do in Q1 of 2022.
Yep.
Overlays, emotes, animated emotes, channel points, bit cheer emotes and redoing OBS. Like, I'm just going to delete my OBS profile and just build it from scratch. Yeah.
Wow.
Super simplify everything. I'm going to save some things, like save some scenes, but for the most part, I'm just going to erase everything and go back and see if I can eliminate one of my macro boards off my setup. I really want to build like a literal control panel that has my beacon mix, the stream decks, and my macro boards all just right in front of me. And that's going to be part of it. But it's such a daunting task. Anybody here that's, used OBS in the past, that, oh my God, setting things up again is, I think I've had the same OBS profile now for maybe 4 years. Like, the last time I actually started from scratch was probably about 4 years ago.
And tech has changed so much since then. So there's so many better ways to do things or like in OBS, there's so many better ways to do things than what existed 4 years ago.
Yep. You know what? You just brought up something that I wanted to talk about, but we can talk about it later. Do you want to talk about what games we've been playing really quick before we get into general news and stuff?
Cool. I have been beating some games as of late. I beat NES Batman.
Did you really?
I did. I finally beat that son of a bitch a couple weeks ago, and I beat just yesterday. I beat Zelda, the first Zelda for NES. Beat that game, which was also really. I ended up having a lot more fun with that game than I thought I was going to. I think partly because I never made it that far playing it. What's up,
Jimmy? Say what game you beat again?
NES Zelda. What? Good.
Brought to you by Riverside FM.
What?
You didn't hear the clapping?
No,
No.
I didn't.
Shit! It's
Clap again.
All I can see is you just like pausing and looking and pausing, and I'm like,
God.
Yeah, you went full Jersey Shore on us. We lost you there from him.
Did you?
There's a clap button, and it's supposed to clap for your
It
asses.
must be just for. I didn't hear any clapping. I
Hey,
guess
how do I
chat
clap,
heard
man?
it.
Chat heard it. All right.
What the hell, man?
Sorry.
Maybe
I'm sorry,
claps.
Jimmy.
It only claps locally. It doesn't send it the clap.
That's bullshit, man.
I
This
wanted
app
to receive
sucks.
your clap, and you did not give us the clap. So you only gave
Move
some
on,
people
I'm
the clap.
embarrassed.
Okay.
Wait, then why can't
No,
we
I'm
hear
sorry.
the claps, man?
No,
What
keep
the hell,
going,
man?
Jimmy. You beat Zelda.
Okay.
You beat Batman.
Lawnmower Simulator, which I know sounds really corny, but it's kind of a fun little Zen game. Then Halo Infinite. I haven't played the campaign. I want to do that. And then one thing I didn't put, I've been playing a little bit of and getting back into Animal Crossing because the DLC is actually pretty fun. There's a ton of shit they added, so I've been playing off just not a lot. Like I'll play for like 30 or 45 minutes here and there, but it's fun,
Those are some big games, my man.
Yeah.
Those are some big games. I'm proud of you for beating games again.
I'm beating games
happy
again.
to,
Thank you. Yes.
It's good to see.
So
Zelda's a great game. Great choice.
have you beaten it?
Everything else was absolute trash.
Have you beaten Zelda, the first Zelda?
Have I beaten the first one? Yes. I beat it on a rental TV in a Renaissance hotel.
Okay.
You used to be able to rent games through their home screen thing,
Mm-hmm.
and we played it because we were at a we were traveling for my dad's work, and my brother, my sister, and I sat and played it on the TV.
Nice.
Yep.
It's kind of you kind of made it sound like you beat it while suffering in poverty compared to Jimmy.
Yeah, and you're throne of lies, Jimmy. You're propped up there. You working for the government now.
You're out here playing the game for free on your fucking emulator, you pussy.
I was actually playing it on the NES emulator on the Switch.
Oh wow,
You were legit. Wow.
wow, you were legit
Emulating.
emulating. Yep.
And the truth is, I never really feel bad for a lot of the games that I play because in most cases, I have a digital license or I had the game physically, which was stolen from me. So I'm kind of like in my gray area playing older games that are hard to get my hands on that cost tons and tons of money. I'm just like, yeah, look, whatever, That's kind of the way I see it. Retro games are great. But the reality is sometimes certain games, it's just impossible to get your hands on some games, to play them. Like, you really going to shell out thousands of dollars to play Little Samson for NES? No.
Nintendo was the last company that I expected to embrace emulation. And I'm glad that they did, because even though I never play my Switch, I still think that the Nintendo Switch is the best bang for your buck system in like of all time. And of course you have there's some bias to that, right? I think that that's a subjective statement, but as far as having a console that can be docked, can be played portable, can do local multiplayer, can do online multiplayer, and has backwards compatibility up the fucking ass. And they're even, not even just backwards compatibility, but grabbing games from the past and then redoing them for the Switch. Now, granted, you have games like Super Mario 64, which are dog shit on the emulator. But I think if you're a Nintendo fan, then the Switch is like one of the greatest fucking things ever, aside from a couple cons.
Yeah,
I know that Bishop hasn't played his Switch in 2 years.
Well, it's especially appealing to children who love using tablets and stuff. Like my son, he doesn't ever, he rarely plays it in docked mode. He's always in tablet, like portable mode. I think the only time he plays it in docked mode is if he's playing like Mario Party or something like that with other people.
Yeah. Which, speaking of Mario Party, have either of you guys played the newest one?
I just heard it was really good. My son, I got it for him. He said it was great.
Okay. We should do we could do another Crocs gaming episode, and we could do some Mario Party.
Yeah,
All right, I'm down.
Be fun.
So speaking of Knackers called me out, I downloaded a game on my Switch. I actually forgot that I had a Switch until Casey, her mom, and I did Thanksgiving before Thanksgiving this year, and she brought my Switch with her, and I was like, oh, I have a Switch, nice. And I downloaded the new Pokemon game, or it was an old Pokemon game from DS that was ported onto the Switch, and I spent $60 on it. And I think the Switch is a great device. Yes, it has a lot of cool functionality, but I think that their gaming, the way the games are, the pricing of games is predicated on their little disc in like the hard copy of the game, even if you buy a digital copy of the game. The fact that you have to spend $60 on the same bullshit you've been playing for 10 years is kind of fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider it's children, or mostly kids playing the Switch, right? They're just fucking parents over big time. But anyways, I don't think that the Switch's value is, I think like as a device, yes, it's one of the best values, bang for the buck. But I think as far as their gaming market is concerned, it's probably the worst that exists. Especially with
As far as like library?
Yeah, the library of games, the price of each game is excessive. Just the way that you have to install games and you have to get like an SD card and do all of that. It's just, to me, it's kind of, I don't like the workflow, whatever. But I also have a fucking computer.
It inflates what people think they're getting a good deal, but they artificially, there's ways that they inflate the price. And one of the ways they pass the cost on to the consumer is the SD card, for example. And at least the good news is it's not proprietary like fucking Xbox, where you got to like sell a kidney to buy their freaking external storage they have for the new Xbox Series X. It was like 2 terabytes of their new proprietary SSD is $400.
Yeah, that's fucking insane.
And it was just an SSD inside of a case, right?
It's just an expansion. They have an expansion bay where you can plug in more. And I'm like, why the fuck would I do that? I will just erase some shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not paying $400 just so I can have more games on a hard drive. It's stupid. God.
Yeah, so I played the new Pokemon, or it's Pokemon Sapphire. Is that what it's called? Everyone's gonna hate me if it's Pokemon. I can't see it because my something Pearl, Shining Pearl, Shining Pearl, Shiny Pearls. Okay, I played the Shiny Pearls one, and it's a super. I love Pokemon. I love Pokemon games. I used to play them all the time as a kid. Holy fuck, is this game easy? Like if you, for some reason, they give like a ridiculous amount of XP to your party. So if you have a bunch of Pokemons in your party, as you're playing through the game, like let's say you start out, you get your first Pokemon, you go and catch a bunch of Pokemon, you fill your library up with like 4 or 5. You could play a single Pokemon the entire game, and while you're doing that, the rest of your party is getting equal XP. So I have like, by the time I get to the region that's like level 7 or level 6 or whatever it is, I have like 12 level 70 fucking Pokemon, and no one can beat me, even like the masters. It's not a challenge even remotely.
So it gets boring doing that. Huh?
Yeah, it got super boring, and I'm kind of bummed out because I don't think that that's what it was like on DS. But I was really excited to play it. Bought it for $60, and now I'm just like, this shit's so easy that this is just kind of like Pokemon Snap at this point.
Yeah.
Like I'm just going around the city just to fight Pokemon to take pictures of them, you know.
You just brought up a great point, and this backs up your opinion of the Nintendo ecosystem. People asked for Pokemon Snap for decades, right?
Yeah.
Everyone wanted nothing more than to just take pictures of cute fucking Pokemon. And then they dropped that abomination of a game, which is literally the same fucking game. And I'm pretty sure they also charged the $60 retail for that shit. And I was like, how can anybody look at that and go, oh, it's the same game with absolutely zero replayability and it's still on rails, and people lost their shit about it, and then it died as quickly as it came. Which, shout out narcolepsy or necrophilia. Close. That was close.
Yeah. No,
that shit was ridiculous.
That's the thing about the first game too. Like, it's a cool game, but it has zero replayability, really. I mean, there's not much at all, in my opinion.
It was cool when it was a kiosk at Blockbuster that you could play for 15 minutes while your dad was looking for pornos in the back.
Right.
This is awesome, but I played the entire game within the 15-minute span of me standing here waiting for Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, there's some really good games on Switch, like Luigi's Mansion, like the other Mario Odyssey. The Odyssey was a great game. There's a lot of great games on Switch, but to me, I look at Nintendo, one of the greatest gaming companies of all time, if not arguably the best gaming company of all time, historically speaking. And it's like, man, you guys are creating some real pieces of dog shit. Like, I don't need Battlefield with 4K textures and flying helicopters and dudes skydiving from above and buildings falling down. I don't need that, right?
I do.
But,
I want that.
Knackers wants that. But I understand using older hardware and this and that, but man, they have pumped out very few games that have been good over the past after the N64 IMO. There's been a handful that people are still playing to this day. And that's bad.
The library isn't huge. It's not massive.
So, I like N64 games. They're rare games from that era. Get me some Banjo-Tooie. I'll play that shit all day long. But yeah. So I've been playing that a little bit. I've been playing Valorant, which is kind of my go-to after work. I'd play that a little bit and then go to sleep, terrified or pissed off. And then I've been playing, starting yesterday, Mountain Blade Warband. Or Bannerlord. If anyone is a Mountain Blade fan in chat, you'll know this game.
What kind of game is that again?
It's it's this game where you're controlling. There's mountains, and then there's blades, and then you take blades to the mountains, and then the mountains erupt in volcanoes, and then there's TikToks about it. It's a whole thing.
What genre would you put this game in?
It's like an RPG kind of. You're like a sandbox RPG. You're playing as one guy, but it's kind of like an RTS at the same time. It's kind of like the Total War games, but you're playing one guy. And
that's a really interesting voice you got
every
there.
time we talk, for anyone that doesn't know this inside joke, anytime I bring up this game, this is how hard it is for me to describe what this game is. It's just impossible. But they came out with a huge patch. I tweeted about this. I was holding off on playing this game for the past 2 months. I've been I'm getting the itch to want to play this. I want to play this. But the developer Tailworlds didn't release a patch for it, or hadn't released a patch for it. And I was like, okay, I'll wait. I'm willing to wait. And then I think it was Friday night or Thursday night. I was about to start a new save game. All my buddies were playing Icarus. I didn't want to get into it until that game's up to date and all patched. And I was like, I was about to start a new game. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to watch TV and go to sleep. The next morning I wake up and they patched the game and they added 1 billion times the new content that I expected them to. So I've been really enjoying that. And
so it was a good update. I thought we were going down. This was a bad story.
No, this was amazing. No.
Right.
Bannerlord is they new patch from Friday, I think, or Friday morning, and it's amazing. I love it.
Icarus, yay, nay?
So I've played so many games in this past year where I jump in immediate, or 2 years, 3 years, where I jump in immediately when a game drops. Okay, and there's all these bugs, there's issues. It's always crafting games. Like look at Valheim, had a ton of issues starting out, but was a fantastic, amazing game. And I said to myself, I was like, man, I wish I would have waited to play Valheim because of all of the great things in there, and the bugs kind of got in the way of that experience. So when Icarus dropped, I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to play it. So I haven't played it. I think it is a great game. My friends are having a good time, but the fact that the devs are patching it a bunch right now tells me that the best experience is going to be in the future. It's like if you play through The Forest right now. The Forest today is way better of a game than it was when it first came out,
yeah.
You know?
And I haven't seen anything about the next one, and I was surprised to not see anything about it at the Game Awards. Among all the other titles that we saw, but maybe it just wasn't the place for it. I am beyond excited for the next Forest game. As far as games, the only thing I've been playing, there was an update to Call of Duty, so both Cold War, Modern Warfare, and Vanguard are all fucked right now. We played like 7 rounds, and the game crashed every single round. So took a small break from that. We played about 6 hours of Battlefield 2042 last night, and then played for a couple hours today. And the game has gotten a lot better. Still lacking in many ways, but hit registration's better. I can run it at 60 FPS on slow, which I could not do before. A lot of like stupid bugs in the game are now fixed. Simple things like it not showing you what firing mode that you were in, or not being able to spawn, shit like that. But really
it's
exciting.
Getting better. Yeah, they're walking it back. Yeah.
I'm still not encouraging anybody to buy it who hasn't bought it. People are like, oh, is it getting better? Would you buy it? I'm like, don't. Just wait. I got it for free. I'm biased. I'm also kind of like a Battlefield shill. But what I will say is that the 6 hours that I played last night were some of the funnest hours I had playing Battlefield. Like, I was excited. I was exhilarated. We had teammates that were reviving, and squads were actually sticking together. And I know I've already said this like 20 times, but when you're rushing from point A to point B, and you look left and you look right, and there is 15 or 20 of you that are all just charging this hill, you're like, oh, we're gonna fucking kill him! And it's like, it's one of the coolest things ever. Because never in a game has there been 15 to 20 real people that are all charging a point, right? Unless you're talking about like chivalry or like some stupid shit like that. It was just like, to see it on a massive scale was super cool, and have it like run okay. It's like tanks going by, there's bodies flying around, there's like airstrikes coming in and helicopters falling out of the sky. It was a really cool experience. But don't buy it quite yet. But it's getting there. I had a lot more fun last night than I have in a while.
Good.
All right, next up,
I'd give it like a 5 now.
What is
a 5 out of 10
or like a 4 out of
Star Wars,
not out of 5. Jesus.
Oh, that's Game Awards. Never mind.
Like a 4 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10. That's where I'm at with it.
I would mirror that. Yeah. Jimmy, what's I see you have some points here before we get into kind of like news. That you wanted to touch on.
I wanted to just mention I'm in the process finishing. I'm hopeful by the time I finish vacation, my project is to try and finish my little stream shack I'm building, and get it furnished, painted. Obviously I got to move all my equipment and set up out there.
Is it gonna have AC?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's gonna have to, right?
Yeah. I've got insulating it. It's gotta have. I have an AC unit for it already. I pretty much the only thing I have left to buy is a paint for the interior, and I think my wife originally was going to build a desk, but there's stuff that would fit the dimensions pretty well that we could buy, and maybe buy some shelving in there too. And then I'm going to measure to get a decent seating space in there, and then also a decent TV in there. So that way, and then I'll have my beer fridge in there. It'll be nice.
Home Depot has like 6 and 7 foot slabs of butcher block, like pre-cut.
Yeah.
They have like a lot of pre-cut tabletops. I don't know if you want to go laminate or more of like a wood, because then you'd have to stain it, treat it, and seal it yourself. But
yeah, I don't know. My wife's the one who's she's the expert on all that shit. So I mean, I'm not really.
I did it myself. That was my last desk, was a butcher block slab that I got from IKEA.
Yeah.
It was a great experience, and I love that desk. It was really, really fun. So if you're gonna do it, make your own one, man. And then you can make shelves with the same piece of wood or like the same stain.
Yeah.
But it depends. I don't know what your style is. You're probably going for the what do they call it? The yaya look.
What's the yeah?
A yaya? Isn't that like a?
Excuse me?
Yeah.
A yaya, like this thing. What is
Yeah.
that called? You know, man.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
So wow, I didn't realize that you were gonna have it done so soon. Do you already have an idea of like layout on the inside of it?
Kinda, yeah. Yeah, I kinda do. I mean, it's not very big, but I mean, honestly, it's probably gonna be it's about the size of your office, you know.
Okay.
But it doesn't have a closet or anything. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. So I'm excited to do that. I know. What else was I gonna say? Oh, I don't think I mentioned it before the show. I just wanted to bring it up. I think it's cool seeing Twitch adding those emote slots. I know we've talked in the past about how that'd be a thing Twitch should do. And here enough, they freaking did it. They added more emote slots. So that's cool. And animated emote slots also for affiliates, which I thought was awesome. Because that's cool. And then yeah, that's pretty much it.
The one thing I always hate, and this is anecdotal and from my perspective only, whenever Twitch gives us more free shit like animated emotes or emote slots, I have to decide which emotes to take away from BTTV or Frankerface and put into the official slots. Like, do I want to be a cuck and paywall them, or do I just want to make them available both in BTTV and in Twitch official so that anybody can use them? And I never know what to fucking decide, and I hate trying to come up with an answer for it. So what I'm most likely going to do is I'm just going to take 5 of my favorite animateds, put them on the Twitch official, so that if people want to use them in other channels, they can. I don't know. I hate paywall and shit, but it is super, super awesome that they're just unleashing, because when affiliates first dropped,
You had one emote.
one emote. That's right.
One single emote. And I was so excited. I was like, I'm going to have my own emote. It was this one.
Yeah.
This was the first one, man. 2017. And hey.
And now it's 20, right? Because 5 follower.
You get 5 follower emotes. You get up to 10 regular emotes for affiliates, right? And then another 5 animated. So that's 20. And then you get an additional 2, one for tier 2, one for tier 3. So 22 max.
And then plus cheer motes as well.
Yes, and cheer motes. So
pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah, they've added a lot. Anyway, now that's pretty much all I was wanting to bring up.
Gotcha.
I saw another thing. I'm not super educated on this because I don't stream right now, so I don't pay a ton of attention. But I noticed this on the channel side of things. You now have options. So a while back, let me preface this. A while back, they added the ability to gate your chat by requiring someone to have authentication through like a mobile authentication, or having their email verified, right? Email or phone verification. Now, I think that they added a few. I don't know how long this has been up, but I just noticed it the other day. But they added multiple levels and layers to that. So you can select like if someone has been following for 15 minutes or for 15 days or whatever that time gate is, then you can require that. If they have been following for that long, then they don't have to have a verified email. If someone's a subscriber or a moderator, they don't have to have verification. So they added multiple layers to that verification thing within chat, which I thought was really cool, because I love automation and I love having more dynamic options, because obviously a few options don't help. Not one rule can apply to everybody, if that makes sense. So you have to have like dynamics to those rules. So I thought that was pretty badass.
Oh, for sure.
That was added in response to the hate raid stuff. It might not have been in response to, but after the hate raid stuff really started getting bad, because they had been probably working on that feature for such a long time.
I'm sure.
And they're like, all right, well,
they had
let's
to elevate
weekends.
the priority on that particular code.
Which I haven't really heard too much about hate raids as of late. And I don't know if it's because it's just kind of simmered down and maybe people are sick of talking about them. It could be. I guarantee it's still happening.
It's still happening.
If we have marginalized creators on the platform, it's still fucking happening, because they were the ones who were getting mega targeted.
I don't stream under the veteran tag anymore because of the hate follows, I guess. You know, I'm the only one that sees it. Like, I don't have follow alerts or anything else, but I'll still see the freaking, things show up on the list. This person just followed or whatever. And I know that I'd be foolish to think that that's the only tag that's happening under, because I've seen it happen to other veteran streamers too that have posted similar, stuff that, and it's just like, ugh. But It's definitely better. I mean, it's better than it was, but it's not over yet. And it's just such a hard thing to monitor. But having those verifications in place definitely stops a lot of the stuff that happens in chat. Getting the follow notifications that only the streamer can see, that stuff is going to be difficult to just totally kill, you know? It's just hard.
It is indeed. Moving on to we got a couple news topics. I want to talk about Twitch versus YouTube. I want to have that conversation a little bit. We can we'll most likely finish up with the Game Awards, just kind of what we liked, what we saw, what we're looking forward to coming up. The next thing I want to talk about, this can kind of be a short-ish topic. There has been, I want to say, an extreme surplus of new, original, and extremely creative content on Twitch. So if you're looking at, and I guess this all depends on your viewing habits as a Twitch viewer. I would assume people who watch me don't watch Soda Poppin', right? Like I would assume that those are probably two totally different groups of entertainment. But people like Soda, Mizkif, Maya, Svan, Hassan, like that whole group of mega streamers, they've been doing an insane amount of content that is like outside of their comfort zones. Like they're doing like kickball tournaments and house parties. They're doing full on game shows. They're doing trivia, but totally thinking outside the box. And as somebody that doesn't watch any of those streamers, the creative side of me felt very drawn in to watching that type of stuff, because you have to think at a certain point, you're most likely going to get sick of what you're doing on Twitch, and you're going to have to supplement your original content with other stuff that is maybe a little bit different. Keep things spicy, keep chat entertained, that kind of stuff. Have either of you seen any of these IRL streams that are either like the game shows or the game tournaments? Aside, I know Bishop, you were at the Twitch Rivals in person, which in my opinion was one of the coolest fucking things that Twitch has done in a while. But have any of you guys seen any of the other content?
I have not, but
Okay.
I'm sure Bishop probably has seen more than I have.
Yeah. No, man. I could talk about this stuff because in some of it, Twitch has some involvement, like with the loot goblin stuff and this and that. But it's really cool just to like from like a personal side to see people thinking outside of the box and taking templates from content that's been done before in other formats, like on YouTube, and finding ways to do them live and tying in the kind of the fun element of live, right? The mistakes and the issues and the kind of fun things that pop up. I was personally watching Loot Goblins, the finale. I've been watching throughout the season because it's on Twitch Gaming. Dude, Svan is a legend, man. Like watching him, just watching him perform and like host that show is like inspiring. I love just watching the dynamic between him and the other hosts and the Goblin and everyone else that's on the panel of that show, and how they just make it fun and kind of silly. And then they have the bard that plays music throughout that process as well. That show is super fun and is interesting. And I'm hoping that there's a second season of it, because that show is something that I genuinely watch every single time that it pops up. Right after the Rival show, they went and did there was a kickball tournament. Yep. And I thought that was cool as well, just being able to like they're pulling off some pretty big stuff for the small team that OTK is. They're pulling off some stuff that's really badass, and honestly, like from an individual standpoint, is cool just to show that like, hey, you can do this stuff in a live format. If you get enough people involved, you can do some pretty cool stuff. Going back to like what I did with that Rainbow Six tournament that I just put together just to see what I could do. Like that was a fun little tournament just to throw together, but also you learn so much, and that's a great way to get into the industry as well. Like once you figure out how, the dynamics of a tournament or a show works out, you can turn that into experience and learnings, and then make better content or go and do it for someone else, which is kind of what I did.
Yep.
But yeah, all the OTK stuff, man, that I love. I'm a huge Asmod fan. I watch Mizkif a lot, NMP, all of those guys. So I'm probably one of the main viewers of yours that watches a lot of their stuff.
You're my cross user.
yeah. I'm the bridge. But no, I sit and watch those shows and I'm like, man, this is cool. How could I do something like this? Or like, how could you plus this up or make it even better? Or like, what else exists on YouTube as a show or something that's done on TV that could be formatted for Twitch? And
sure.
Yeah.
So I've been particularly inspired by seeing those types of game shows and just seeing how you can elevate the Twitch experience to a whole new level. And you can not like the creators or their personalities, right? But when you get them all together and you throw like a banger of a show like that, it's so fucking cool to see. Before you started working at Twitch and before you got into the race admin, like throwing up doing the design for all that stuff, was there any other type of content that you were thinking of doing outside of your regular game streaming? I know that you kind of dabbled in the casting when you and Casey were doing like your Borderlands dual PC streaming, right? Where it was like a 2-user experience. And to me, from the outside, that kind of seemed like the first time that you dug into something outside yourself.
Yeah, I think that like with Casey, I just almost popped my headset off.
I saw that.
I almost lost it completely. Yeah, I think we tried to do a bunch of like really creative ideas, and it's always been something that I want to do. Like coming up with a way to do different shows, because like I really genuinely enjoy innovating as far as like what is possible with like a live broadcast or a live stream, like adding in like broadcast elements, this and that. And for a personal stream, it's one thing. Like we always say on this podcast, like all the greatest graphics won't do anything to grow your stream. Like they'll do something for like a visual element or for the visual experience, but nothing for like the growth element of your stream long term. And these shows are like a small way to like throw a bunch of work at them and like a bunch of like creative identity, I guess, or like creative branding around those shows. So it's like a cool outlet for me to like build a bunch of stuff. I've had a bunch of ideas and I've done a bunch of stuff just to kind of like try to get those off of the ground. The problem is that it's just a ton of fucking work. Like streaming is so much easier than putting together one of those events or just doing like like hosting a show or doing like a tournament or something along those lines. But I've always been thinking about like how to automate something, similar to what's that game that Jimmy plays? Jimmy plays this like swords and sandals looking gladiator arena game where chat can integrate.
Domino.
Yeah, Domino.
So I've been trying to find ways, or Dominoes. So Jimmy plays Dominoes on his kitchen table. But he plays this game where basically chat gets to integrate in chat, and then they have their own heroes created, and then basically the story is that Jimmy has them compete against each other. Jimmy's done something similar with like XCOM, where he's named players in the game after viewers in chat, things along those lines. It's a huge time-consuming process to get everything set up. And like I've thought about ways to automate that. So like running a racing series where the cars are all created by chat, right? Or like trying to figure out ways for the drivers to be renamed or rebranded to be different, like viewer names or subscriber names or something along those lines, or hosting tournaments or creating like shows where like this podcast is a good example of that. Like you created a show where people can come together and talk and just hang out, but at the end of the day, it's content. The challenge is that the work that's required to go into these shows regularly supersedes your capability to also stream while you're doing those things.
Yes.
So you have like one big blowout moment, and the problem with live streaming is it's not VOD, right? You have to be there in the exact moment. So basically, while I'm building all of these cool ideas or these projects or whatever it is, as like an individual live streamer, if you don't have a team behind you supporting you or like a few people that you can play off of, the difficulty is that you take away from your live stream to be able to produce these shows and put them all together and all the assets and elements and build them out and the creative and all that. And then when you launch the show, you have one moment for people to recognize that show. And then as soon as the show's over, it's over forever. People don't go back to watch the show. Yeah. So it's really like, I love these things and I'm always trying to find ways to innovate and do things differently. But in my mind, the way that I'm trying to do it now, and like if I was to go back to producing content, I'd want to try to like tie in some of these creative ideas into a stream. But the challenge is not how to do it once, but how to do it multiple times without adding layers of difficulty. Like doing the show multiple times adds, multiplies the work that's involved. But also how to keep it interesting while replicating it. Because like running one episode of a show is pretty easy. Running two episodes of a show can sometimes be twice as much work. Yeah. But if you can find a way to reduce the amount of work, then you can put the effort into keeping it interesting from episode to episode to episode. So yeah, that was a huge long tangent of information, but that's how my brain works.
I loved it. Jimmy, I know if you were to compare your stream now compared to, let's say, a year and a half ago, pre-pandemic, enormous differences in the type of content that you're producing and also your gaming to other content ratio, right? Like you've put a lot of work into creating almost like a little universe inside of your Twitch channel. Outside of creating that little universe and the scenes and the characters that you all have built, have you seen yourself, and this is kind of without you giving away your secrets for future projects, have you ever had ideas of like, if I was to go out and team up with other people, or have you had any other ideas for things that you've wanted to do, but maybe things just didn't quite line up the way that you wanted to execute it?
I can't say with regard to like collaboration necessarily that there's no in that regard, but I can say that I mean, for as many scenes as I have made, I've also made a lot of scenes that never made it past the cutting room floor, where I think I have a good idea or a good something put together, and then I put it together and I'm like, this is trash, like this is terrible. So yes, in that regard. And back to what Bishop was saying earlier too, that's one of the many challenges that streamers face. Like, streaming in 2016, for example, right? Go back 5 years ago, and every streamer's got a script almost for anytime they get a raid or anytime they would. Streaming in 2021 isn't like that. I think streaming in 2021 has become a lot more. If you just have a canned response for everything that you do, if you're still streaming like people were streaming in 2016, you're not going to get a whole lot of views. People don't want the same They want to have familiarity, but they don't want the same raid response every time. They don't want the same whatever. So it's important to be able to like bring some randomness, but also some things that people are familiar with. And I think that's a key in growing and gaining an audience on Twitch. If you're doing it like I'm doing it from a performative aspect, as opposed to based on my gameplay, which is terrible. So,
it's funny that you say that, and you kind of illuminating how the Twitch culture has changed as a streamer. Like 3 or 4 years ago, you were seen as high production quality if you had a well-edited video as your raid response. Like if you got raided and you had like a well-edited video to display to all of the people that come in, people are like, whoa, dude, he's got a whole video. And now it's kind of like, most people don't want to see a video now. It's like, oh my God, there's a fucking video.
Yeah.
And of course there's like, you can use a video this time and do a different response. You can kind of mix it up, right? But it's crazy to be in this long enough to see those types of changes, because for a long time, Twitch was pretty stale.
Yeah.
I would say for like the first 4 years, I guess at least our level, and I say our level because you're now on your own level, but when we were on the same level 4 years ago, it was like not much was really changing, and I'm sure that technology really needed to catch up in order to make that happen. But now that the sky's the fucking limit. I mean, when you got Sushi Dragon with 6 servers and a bunch of buttons on his arms,
that dude is just, I can't even fathom that level of sophistication, man. It's.
Have you seen him lately?
He's got his own fucking warehouse, man.
Not only that, he stopped using OBS. He had his own application built just for his show. Absolutely insane. Guy is
he's a madman, but he's awesome.
He is.
Yeah,
he is indeed. So yeah, I don't. I think about like G4 coming back, right, and then like Ven, which failed horribly. I think that Ven laid off over 50% of their staff, and I don't even know if they're live streaming right now because of COVID restrictions and such. But it's like, yeah, I would love to be a part of something like that in the future, right? Because when you think about streaming, you're alone.
Yeah.
100% of the time, right? And then to think, man, there's maybe some content that I could be making in the future where I'm actually interacting with other people in person and we're creating live content. That's super fucking cool. But then again, you got to think of like how many people have to live in Austin, Texas in order for them to do those.
Pull it off, yeah.
So many people. But I can imagine those people right now are probably living the golden years of their life. Like, I'm sure they've all had the thought like, man, my time on Twitch is done. And then out of their asses, they all pulled out this IRL shit, and now that whole squad of people is still reigning on top, just pushing out amazing, amazing content. And it's super cool to see that even today in 2021, coming up on 2022, there is still evolving content and new shit being done.
Yeah. And I think the main thing is that that group of people, like they're super, those people are really smart, right? Like they're pulling off some crazy big projects and they have really creative ideas. But the other thing is that they have big teams of people helping them, right? Like there's big teams like with Loot Goblins, they have Twitch behind them with like the kickball tournament. There's camera operators. There's a bunch of like moving parts, right? And obviously like as an individual streamer, you can't aspire to that, but you can pull pieces of that out, right? Like, and the problem that I have with streaming sometimes is it's like you can have a great idea, but a lot of the time people are rewarded by doing it first and not doing it well, right?
Yes.
So like this has happened to me a few times, but like if you share ideas with people, they'll run and take it and then they'll just try to do it and then it's they do whatever with it. But like like at the end of the day, I always pride myself on doing things like really well and like putting super crazy amounts of detail into it before I release it. To the extent where like I will not stream until I'm prepared enough where I like can think through all of and it's stupid because it's like it holds me back, but like it's a detriment to my own streaming success because I'm a perfectionist, right? Streaming isn't a craft of being perfect, which everyone knows. But I think like one you were asking for like have I had any ideas like that, and one that like jumps to my mind is like an idea for the podcast. Like we could just all sit and play QWOP, that game, or QWOP or whatever. Is it Jump King or whatever? Like whatever game has like a certain level of like getting to a certain distance, and then there's a high risk of dying, like any battle royale type of game, or
getting over it.
Jump King or Getting Over It, or any game like that. And all three of us play it in parallel, but it has to be a game that we haven't played. So we basically have like a tournament where the objective is to get as far as possible within a certain amount of time, and the rest of us are trying to catch up to that person. But the closer that we get to that person, the higher the risk is of the other person losing their lead. So they have to continue to climb. But then there's also the risk of them falling all the way to the ground if we're playing something like Getting Over It or Jump King. So
oh no, I hope I don't fall.
Yeah,
my table.
My table. So I thought that would be kind of a cool thing. And then another one of the ideas that I was thinking through, and I was like, how do we pull this off? Is like obviously everyone's doing esports stuff. Everyone's running tournaments and doing competitions, and it's all about like how good everybody is, or how like who's winning, or this or that. And I thought it would be really fun to get like a panel of people together and just do an MXC, but with esports, like host tournaments and have people come in and compete in the tournaments. And all that we do is like host like an MXC show and create like caricatures of who these people are. Not who they are in reality, but just like create random identities for them and then just tell stories on the fly. So it'd be like a comedy show, because at the end of the day, it's just improv, right? I thought that would be really fun.
Is that the Wipeout like show? Where it's just like huge obstacle courses where people get fucked up.
Yeah,
dude.
It was called Takashi's Castle, and then some guys from the US took it and then just did like an English dub over and knew nothing about the show and just created a bunch of storylines on the backside. So I thought that was really cool. Or get like some people to host a tournament and act extremely confident without ever having played that game before. So they have to like talk about like what the heroes do. But the problem is that they need a producer, right? They need someone in their ear to tell them what to say. Otherwise they're going to be lost. So like I can't be that person. I have to be the producer in that instance. So chat doesn't get to see me, but it would be my show. But for instance, I'd have to queue up what the commentators would be saying. So like, hey, tell them what gun that is. And if they're using the Vandal in Valorant, they don't know the title of that gun, but they'd have to describe it somehow. Like, oh yeah, they're using and I would be able to push the like how much detail they need to go into. And I think that would be really funny, just seeing like two people try to improv an entire show without knowing a single fucking thing about it.
Oh, absolutely.
You brought up a point that I agree with too, in that sometimes you're rewarded for not necessarily being the best, but being the first. And I think that was a factor, at least, of some of the success I had on Twitch, because it's been 2 years now since I switched over to the beer avatar. And I was one of the first people that I saw consistently. You didn't see a lot of VTubers or a lot of that a couple years ago. You look now, all over the place, you know? And I think the uniqueness of that is kind of worn off a little bit, you know, and especially because a lot of the ones that I see now, they're not very unique. They're like these waifu type, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Not saying, and I think that the beauty of also being simple helps me, because I even paid to get a redone model, and ended up just curbing it because it just didn't look. I didn't like the way it looked compared to the original. You know?
Really?
Yeah, and it cost me a lot of money.
Millions.
Yeah,
Oh,
not
dude,
millions, but it cost me a lot of money.
Fear.
Yeah.
Of getting something done artistically. It's like every time I get somebody messages me and says, "Hey, I'm done." I'm like, "Oh God, what if I fucking hate it? What if I hate it?"
It's the only time I've paid for something that I didn't like, and I sent requests to the artist for changes, whatever, but we just couldn't get it where I liked it, and to where it animated and looked right compared to what I had currently. So I was just like, you know what? We're good. Don't worry about it. You know?
Was that also utilizing face rig?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
There's some limitations on that platform as well. You know, there's more complex and better platforms out there. But again,
if you're willing to wear a green suit,
yeah, I'm not doing that. No.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Original beer lives on for now.
For now, at least. You know, I think that it'll probably stay mostly the same, at least as far as overall look, for a while.
Sure.
I thought it'd be cool. I thought it would be cool if there was an element to where you could track how many beers you've had throughout the night, and as you're streaming, the beer glass comes down, and you're getting more and more drunk as you're going. So the eyes are blinking like off camber, or like you know, like it
right.
as you start getting woozy, like you start to see the thing moving a little bit. I thought that'd be cool, kind of a cool element. Like if the avatar reflects how many drinks you've had in IRL and your voice changing and all of that, but you'd have to have like a mod. You've got Buffalo in there. You'd add a drink every time.
Yeah, it would be a lot of work to make that work, but it would be cool. But like you said, man, the implementation of that would take me so much time to try and get that to work that it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to spend your time doing that, or are you going to spend that time making more content? So it's like you know.
Do you guys remember a streamer named Scribbly, who is now Scribs? He was like an animated robot.
Yeah.
So I remember, I'm pretty sure Robot sent me his channel. At this point, this must have been, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. But I remember Robot sent me his stream the first time he blew up, and there was like thousands and thousands of people in his channel, and he was getting so many follower alerts that when the stream ended, the follower alerts were still going off. Like he had such a backlog, and he had an insane setup. His animations were amazing. He was able to trigger things left and right. So I wonder what he used. And I would almost encourage you to maybe go down that route and see, because it's still along the lines of what you got, a 2D figure that's more so drawn and not like a real life or a 3D. And maybe that could be a route for you to go. I don't know.
I am definitely planning on looking into possibly using new software in the not too distant future if I can, you know. But
you're also building a bedroom.
Yeah, I'm trying to do one thing at a time, right? So it's like now I need to finish building this and move my setup and get all that done, and then I'll look forward on that next bit.
Do you know who I'm talking about, Bishy?
No idea. I'm going to try to find him.
I'm going to send you a quick Twitter video of like an inkling of what he is capable of, but he had so many different things that he could trigger that would make the animation do different things. So not only did it do active tracking of his eyes and his mouth and his arms, he could also trigger different things that would like have his head explode, or have like he could pull like tracer guns out of his pockets and then just start firing them off.
Yeah. What's cool is like I know a lot of animation tricks within After Effects. The thing that I've been actively trying to figure out is like, obviously you're layering things whenever you're designing anything in Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, whatever it is. What I'm trying to figure out now, and I've been able to pull this off with like Jimmy's, if you look at Jimmy's scene that he has where it's a beer glass sitting on the table is like, how do you layer those things to work inside of OBS? Like, how do you extract those from like your design? But no, this is really badass. Like, if I was to do this, I would have like, are his arms also moving with, or is that just a rotated git, like an animated? Are his arms moving as he interacts, this guy, or is it just his face?
I've seen. I don't know for sure because I haven't seen how he moves in real life. But there's been times where when he's talking, his arms are moving as he would have his arms moving in real life. So like it matched, but it was only to like a certain point, right? Because you only have 2 dimensions of movement.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looked really
amazing.
good. And that I think that would be like next level Jimmy. That would be next level middle-aged stream, is being able to take the beer glass and then animate on top of it, like actually animate your character beyond the eyes and the mouth. You could do some really fucking cool shit with that.
Oh yeah, no, it's something I've considered. I just know it's the time and complexity for me to, and for me to have to, because I can't do any of that. I have to pay an animator to do all that for me. And for quality work like that, it's not going to be cheap, you know?
Sure.
So you need people, man. All great streamers need people. You can be the greatest designer and tech person in the world and have shit content. And I'm a great example of that. you can have all the technical expertise. Like I can create the craziest animations or 3D renderings or motion graphics. I can create insane amounts of stuff, right? Like I have crazy amounts of technical skills, but that doesn't mean that I can make a good show, you know? So yep. It's tough. So like, because you're one or the other, or you're somewhere in between, and it's difficult because like there's better versions of everything that can be made on Twitch. But the thing that people have to remember is that Twitch isn't about being perfect or having things perfect. It's about producing content and just being live and putting as much as you can out there. And if you can make it good, great. If it's not great, people don't give a shit. Like people don't care. And like, look at the Twitch shows recently. We've been embracing every little bit of like mistakes or issues. And that's what makes live streaming fun, is like you're there in the moment. And if something happens that goes wrong, it's like, cool, right? Like run with it. That's fun. Like that's part of the experience. Everything doesn't have to be packaged and bottled. And like, for instance, if you were watching the Chat Choice Awards, or I think it was the day before, there's a sign they were backstage, and there's a sign that said "to set" and it had arrows on it, and the sign fell down behind them, like it fell off of the wall behind them, and they just kept going. And I was like, I love that, because if this was like a production set, if you're like on NBC or something, they'd be like, cut, and then reset that up and put it back up. And it's like, that's like the charm that Twitch brings, is this like, when you're on this platform, when you're a streamer, embrace the shit that goes wrong. Like, don't get overwhelmed. It sucks when shit goes wrong, but it's part of the show. Like, that's why people show up, to see what you've created.
Yesterday,
and if it fucks up, too bad.
Streamlabias, when I was, actually that's giving a bad name to labias. Streamlabs.
True.
Streamlabs yesterday, because I haven't had a chance to, because I have my widgets I use for them too, like my chat widgets, my frickin' all that I use. So it wasn't working. Like, I checked it, I refreshed all my stuff, I made sure that it was the same. No, it's on Streamlabs end. So I'm playing a retro game, which is a 4:3 ratio, right? Normally the chat's in the upper left, so I got to figure out a way to fill that space so on my overlay it's not stupid. So what did I do? I just made my beer glass about 3 times bigger than usual and then expanded the NES. And people loved it and ran with it, though, because, you know, people were like, wow, you seem a little larger than usual. I'm like, well, you know, we had to find a way to make it work without the big blank space in there. And it was funny. And everybody just kind of, you know, those are the things that I think separate you from when you just start streaming, or you've been streaming for a little while, where you can just, you know, on the fly being able to handle those sort of things. And it actually will add to the charm of the show, because people can appreciate and enjoy the fact that everything is not going to go right when you're doing live streaming. There's going to be gaffes, and how are you going to work through that shit, you know?
I mean, look at us right now. We're using our sources is a display capture and some random fucking wallpaper that I found right before we went live. Nothing was working, but again, I wholeheartedly agree that it adds to the charm. And again, I doubt, you know, I don't know for sure, but I doubt that anybody came in and said, "Whoa, this overlay is not the same as it used to be. It actually doesn't look good. I gotta go. It just if that shit just doesn't happen as often as people think it would. And that's really hard to get over when you're a new streamer, right? Because you look at the production quality of other people and you think that that's what's drawing people in, but it's the furthest thing from the truth. It adds to the value, right? Like it's like, a blowjob's a blowjob, but if you get a blowjob and she swallows, it's like, whoa, that's a cherry on top, right? Like, good production quality is the fucking cherry on top.
I'm saving myself for marriage knackers.
Sure you are. Speaking of swallowing, any other thoughts about that topic?
There was something thought of a
You're
second.
thinking about swallowing right now, aren't you?
No.
I know.
I remember something happened and I was thinking of it, but I didn't want to interrupt you while you were talking. You seemed so excited. So I didn't want to
Doesn't
throw
Knackers
you off.
look like you think about you see if you can recall your memory there, Jimbles. Doesn't Knackers look like he's off of Blue's Clues right now? Like is the color look that he's got
he's
going
like
on with
knocking
shirt
on
and
the
his
door
beanie?
to give some mail to Blue's Clues.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got some mail. Speaking of Blue's Clues, that man coming back to the internet absolutely shattered emotions of millennials everywhere. It was so random for him to come back and to say something, and I guess I didn't realize how deeply rooted the emotion of Blue's Clues was in people everywhere.
I wasn't because I'm a little too old for it, but I do
Yeah.
know that it was, it was definitely something a lot of people were into. So
I like this look though. It's suiting Knackers. I like this.
I do. I just need to build an overlay. I gotta think, do I want to, because what I can do is have the Mac Mini join the call so that we can get the horizontal cameras. But this layout enables more people, less overlay, which I'm a fan of. I just need to figure out how to get our rotating commands here and the title of the podcast and just make it sexy, which is both things that I'm absolutely
just
terrible at.
you could use the same thing, just on the little strips on top and bottom is where you can add that. Easy.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yep. Rounded corners. I'm not a fan of how it lights up when people are talking. I'll be cropping that out, but we'll figure it out. It'll be all right. I'll figure it out in 2022.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
No biggie.
Final podcast. This podcast will be perfect.
Absolutely.
That's when we end. That's when we end. When it's
this is the
perfected.
change.
Yeah.
That'll give
169
me-
will be perfect.
That's right. We're going to be starting the new year with podcast 169. Let's go.
Yeah. What? So that is going to be actually. So the next. Okay. So today's the 12th. So we're not doing the 26th.
9th.
9th is the next one. January 9th. Cool. Perfect. Love it. Live it.
Sound like you got something going on, Jimmy.
What is the 9th?
Can I say one more thing about the last topic? I just remembered.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So because you're when you regularly stream, you have this rhythm that you get into. You have this persona that you put out. It's either yourself or a plussed up version of yourself, or more eccentric or more lively version of yourself. Every time that I've done one of these shows, it's a different type of format where we have to do something differently. I always find it really strange because chat comes in with an expectation of seeing you in a certain light, right? Like what they're used to. And then when they come in and you're doing something differently, it's very off-putting to them, or it's very different. In the event that you do a show where you're interacting less with chat, sometimes chat will come in with the expectation that this is going to be a similar show. And it's very odd as a streamer. You almost feel like you're purposefully ignoring chat, or you're doing something different. And it's like when your parents come and see you presenting a class project. There's a way that you act in front of your class, but then your parents are also seeing you interact that way with them. And it's kind of a weird dynamic where they're seeing you operate in a different way. And I always I just remembered this, but I always struggled with that, with depending on how I wanted to produce these shows or do different things on a stream. If it was anywhere outside of what people normally expected, I always felt weird doing that. And maybe that's just a personal thing. But
I don't think it's a personal thing, and you actually bring up a good point, because something that I've noticed when we were talking about all the game shows, when there are these shows where a lot of streamers get together, there are streamers who uphold their I'm streaming by myself personality, and then there are people who alter in the right way, alter their personality to be able to be around other people. So, like, for example, I personally don't vibe with Mizkif as a streamer and his, like, compulsive, narcissistic personality. And that's just my opinion. When all of these streamers get together, I see Mizkif upholding his personality, and I see all of the other people trying to make room in the room for other people, where you see, like, not just Mizkif, a lot of other streamers do this too, where they do not let off the gas at all. It's, I'm the center of attention, I need to be on the camera, my joke needs to be heard, I need to make people laugh. And when you get so many of those people in the same room, you're like, holy shit, it is loud in here. It's almost really distracting because it's like each one of those personalities is pulling the focus away from where the producers are trying to direct the focus. And I think that there's kind of like a special balance to that, where you can still be yourself, but you also need to, like, make room for other people to be present on the stream as well, or the show as well. And I think that is something that they've been learning how to do. And of course, like, you have people that just, like, cut people off. They'll just like, oh, you're being dumb, we're just going to move on and do the next thing. And having somebody be able to do that as well helps move things along. But I don't think that you're far off with that comment.
Well, and like Casey knows this, because we had a post-mortem after, like, we wanted to do more duo streams after the first few that we did, and we were trying to figure out, like, how to do it well and, like, what things we could add to it. And one of the things that like I was struggling with was, like, because, like, people would funnel to her chat, so my chat would be dead. We were both streaming on separate channels. My chat would be less active than hers, so she was interacting more often, and I found myself as, like, the other player waiting for her to finish interacting so we could continue playing the game. Yep. So I think that, like, if you're planning on doing any of those sort of things where, like, you want to bring in other streamers, the first priority is, like, the content you're making with the other people. And then the second priority is interacting with your chat, but you have to set those precedents. You have to be like, all right, after, like, we complete a quest, then let's take, like, 5 minutes to talk to chat or catch up with chat. And then I think the other thing that I've appreciated, and that's not like a stab at Casey or anything, but, like, the other thing that it was just, we didn't have the operational understanding of how those things worked. We basically took both of our streams and stuck them together, and we're like, all right, let's see how this goes. And that was one of the learnings from that. And I think, like, I want to see more people interact with other streamers, right? And I think that seeing two streamers come together, or that have, like, separate communities and they play a game together, is always a fun time. And I think that, like, going into those, like, having conversations about, like, hey, okay, how are we going to interact, or, like, when do we have time to be able to talk to our chat? Like, making sure that those precedents are set, and then the streamers both also realizing that this is not a regular show for them is really important, right? Because normally your workflow and how, like, you're producing and, like, okay, be like the flow of, like, playing a game, reacting, and then talking to chat, or like, immediately reacting for chat, it's different. Like, your reaction is for the other streamers that are there with you as part of the accumulation of the show, and then chat as a secondary, right? So I think it's difficult because there's no written document on how to, like, co-stream with other streamers or, like, stream with other people. But maybe some of us need to fucking sit down and write that document up and be like, hey, here's the best practices for this. And then, like,
people with social skills need to write that document, because a lot of these streamers that have been around for, like, a decade spent that decade inside, not interacting with other human beings in the flesh. And that's probably some of the issues as well.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing. It's one of the reasons I don't do co-streams very often at all, because it is literally a very difficult thing to do successfully, because it does require a lot of give and take and understanding of who you're with. And even if you know that person really well, if you don't clearly kind of make some ground rules, it could end up, being a goddamn train wreck.
2 hours of just sitting waiting. Yeah. And it's the reality is that it's uncharted territory for most people. Like, most people co-stream for the first time and they don't know what's going on, or they don't know what the flow is, and they just try to do the same thing that they've done before.
And not understanding basic etiquette, where you should be muting yourself so that the other person can't hear you when you're thanking them for gifting 20 subs to the chat. Yeah. It's so awkward for the other person to hear that in their chat room. It's just a weird dynamic.
Yeah. And there's a few things. There's like a best practices that doc that needs to get thrown together for sure. Because like a great example is like muting yourself when you're talking to chat, right? Is expected.
Right.
But the other thing is like, how do you do that, right? Like some people use a push to talk when they're playing games with other people. The problem with using a push to talk is that every single time you react, so if you laugh, like something funny happens in the game, you have to push the push to talk down.
Yeah.
But people's natural instinct is not to push a push to talk down when they're doing like a automated response. It's only things that they have prepared. So like laughing, they're not going to push the push to talk down when they're laughing. So the other person that they're playing with isn't going to hear that. And then it draws from that experience for their viewers. And so, yeah, there's a bet, we'll talk about it. We can put a best practices down.
I personally use I have a button for mute on my Stream Deck, and I have a button for deafen also.
Yep.
So like I just, if I got to talk to chat while I'm with another streamer, I hit the mute button and I'll address them if I need to, and then I'll unmute myself, and then deafen obviously for breaks and shit.
Sorry. I have been asking for this feature from Discord forever. Give us a half deafen button, so where it takes the incoming signal and just cuts it in half, so that if you want to talk to your chat, you hold down the button, it makes everybody in your voice channel half as loud as they were, so that you can still hear something going on in case there's some type of cue for you to jump in, and then you can jump right back in if you need to, or you can just completely ignore them and then let go and you're done. Discord, please give us that.
We'll call it one ear Willy mode.
I like that.
And it's just an ear icon with like a little tongue coming next to it. It'd be perfect.
That's a really good point, Knackers.
That's not a bad idea.
This has turned into a tech development stream.
It's not a bad idea. I mean, it really is.
I'm making the best practices, Doc, as we speak.
I want to talk about your next topic, though. Oh, wait. Are you going to Game Awards or Twitch YouTube?
I was going to talk about Twitch versus YouTube. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. Because that last topic ate up a little bit of
Twitch
time.
Is better, 100%.
Yeah, let's do that one instead of Game Awards. I mean, who really gives a fuck? It's just a popularity contest anyway.
The Game Awards or Twitch versus YouTube?
Game Awards.
Both of them.
Okay, so let's just hit Game Awards for games that we're excited about coming up. The awards, whatever.
All I saw was the Star Wars preview. I didn't see anything else. That's all I saw.
So the funny thing about the Star Wars game that I didn't realize at first was that the development company that made Detroit Become Human, who David Cage is the frontman of, is the one that's going to be the one making the new Star Wars game. Now, a lot of people love Detroit Become Human, and I would almost assume that people who love Detroit Become Human don't remember what other games David Cage has made, and some of them have been abominations. David Cage is a weird fucking dude that's done weird, sleazy things to people, and so I'm super stoked to see the setting of the Star Wars game, and obviously another Star Wars game amazing, even though, oh my god, I haven't played the last one, whatever it was called. The one with the guy from
Fallen Order. It's good.
Fallen Order.
It's good.
Yeah. I'll play it one of these days, probably after my third playthrough of Skyrim. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
VR.
But yeah, so Star Wars for you. Bishop, what are you excited for that you saw at the Game Awards?
So the Game Awards was actually pretty good this year. I was actually pretty excited while I was watching it. I was waiting the whole time to see the Golden Champ head. That's literally the only reason that I watched it, was just so I could see the award that I modeled. Not even kidding. Like, that's why I had it up. And then I was like, oh, this show's actually pretty good. I'm only joking. But I thought that there was a few things that were really funny, first of all. When Bethesda did their announcement, or they had like their cut in where it was like an old retro, them talking to the camera, talking head sort of thing, and then they just threw up a bunch of game keys and just had them scrolling, and then they accepted the meme that they have been releasing Skyrim hundreds of times on every platform, and they're like, here's a bunch of game keys because we're running out of platforms to sell Skyrim on. I thought that was so funny, and I love that spirit of Bethesda. It kind of like raked back a little bit of my love for the company.
Sure.
I thought that was really cool. Nightingale looks really interesting. Not entirely sure what it is, but it looks super cool. And any game that has the incorporation of me playing with my friends is always a really exciting narrative. It's really just, a casual experience. We've had so many competitive BRs where there's multiplayer, and those are really the only multiplayer games that are like that have been popularized recently, and I understand that that's kind of like the trend over the past few years, but I just want more games like Icarus where I can sit and build shit with my homies. I love Rust to death, one of my favorite games, but the fact that some other shitters can come over and teabag me and murder me and steal everything that I built with my friends kind of takes away from that. I could have a custom server, but it's just not, it's not a complete game. So Icarus, really excited about that. Obviously that wasn't part of the Game Awards. Dying Light, cool. Don't really care. Among Us VR.
Excuse me.
I don't care either. I didn't play the.
No,
I didn't
no
play
one
the
cares.
first one.
I don't have a
give shit.
PlayStation. I don't care,
I don't
man.
give a shit.
No one cares.
It's out for PC. What the
care.
fuck?
I don't
They
give a
released
shit.
Oh wait, Dying Light. Oh my god. Who cares?
Yeah, who cares?
Wait. Okay.
Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, is Dying Light? Oh my god, I just realized Dying Light is that one. I don't give a fuck, man. Who cares, dude?
I fucking hate you so
cares,
much
man?
right now.
Among Us VR, bro. Like, what a sick game, bro.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna pass on fucking Dying Light and then undernut about Among Us? My faith is lost.
Among Us is one of the greatest games of our time. Yeah, Among Us is just the finest of video games. Now it's in VR, so they're gonna do what Skyrim's doing. Love it. They should be bought out by Bethesda. Star Wars looks really badass. I was excited about that. As soon as I realized it was Star Wars, I love what Star Wars trailers do. They always show a bunch of shit and then they start teasing like the little Star Wars elements. Like you might see a badge or like you might see an X-Wing or like you might hear like zzz, or like something, some sound happens. And then you realize it's Star Wars and you get like the hairs that stand up on your back. We're all old men, so we've got
The
those.
cock throbs.
Yeah.
Jimmy knows
and
about
it's like,
them.
and you get like a little misty, you get a little misty, or like it's back. So I love their trailers anytime that they pop up. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Bishop, are you reading all of the games that I listed on the script?
Yep. So you have nothing left.
Son of a bitch!
I forgot what games are released, to be completely honest. I was looking at that. I think I hit on every.
You skipped Hellblade 2, Alan Wake 2.
Nobody cares.
Man.
Nobody
no one gives a
cares.
fuck. I don't need some depressing story.
No.
You guys,
some lady
even
who cares.
gamers.
I played Hellblade. I
Dude,
played
I don't need a
Hellblade.
fucking
I didn't like
QuickTime
it. It
movie.
was too many fucking puzzles. And then Alan
Whose
Wake.
fault is that?
I'm here to play
Alan Wake
games, not
was
watch a
like
fucking
some
movie,
dude
man.
walking around with a fucking flashlight trying to find ghosts up in the Northeast. Who gives a fuck? Like, I didn't give a fuck about that game. Everyone's like, yeah, you need to play Alan Wake. It's so great.
my God.
I was flailing around with a fucking flashlight. Like, this is the dumbest game I've played in my entire life. I quit that shit after like an hour. Anyway,
Knackers wanted
went to
have
play some NES Batman.
You wanted to have some nice conversation with your co-host, and we just
This is
fucking
the
threw
same
so hard.
feeling of like getting into a fucking science fair
Oh, fuck.
and then having Timmy, the fucking billionaire father, do the same project but better and make me look a complete fucking piece of shit. I'm out there with my fucking origami, like, who's gonna have sex with me piece of paper. Oh my god. So anyways, I can't
what are you
believe
excited
neither
about?
of you care. I can't believe you guys
I
don't
honestly
care
don't
about
give a
Dying
shit.
Light.
I know that they're popular, but I don't give a fuck. The gameplay never appealed to me. It's first person. It could kind of like you're jumping around. There's zombies. Like, who gives a shit?
Oh fuck!
This is coming from the guy who spent a month playing Battletoads, by the way.
It's a good game.
That's a good game. That is true. He is right about that.
There's
I got sorry.
Who?
I got,
okay. Listen, if you go up to two people in the street and you ask them, what's the better game, Battletoads or Dying Light?
Battletoads, 100%.
Battletoads probably gonna win.
Yeah. How many phone? All that you need to know is you need to look at the statistics of how many times GameStop's been called about
Dying Light. How many times
Never.
has
That
GameStop?
is not
No
fair.
one's
That
fucking
is
called
not
them.
fucking
No one's
fair.
ever called them.
No
man.
one gives a fuck.
No one gives a shit.
They
about
want to
Dying
know
Light.
if they got Battletoads though.
Actually, I'm sorry. I need to formally apologize because I got Dying Light mixed up with Alan Wake too. So there's two games that are coming out that are
And no one gives a
new games.
fuck about.
And I don't care about either of them, but I care a little bit more about Dying Light than Alan Wake. And the reason that I say that is that Alan Wake, I have it on PC and it hardly fucking runs. And I tried streaming it once and it did me wrong. And like the game was glitching. It was like 480p and I couldn't get it into 1920 by 1080. Couldn't do anything. It was just a shit show of a garbage dump. So fuck them, dude. But Dying Light looks cool, man. Look at this. There's zombies and shit. They're doing the DayZ stuff, but also bringing back some like.
It's fucking co-op parkour Zombieland.
That's
It's
cool,
a fucking amazing
I don't
game.
give a fuck.
All right, I'm changing my mind.
It's a
Fuck you,
controller. It's
Jimmy.
down. It's stooped down to your level, Jimmy. You should at least be able to comprehend.
It's first
that.
person. Fuck that shit. I don't want to get dizzy.
No.
Yeah,
Old man.
That's true. And there's zombies, which
Mm-hmm.
You sound like a
I might
fucking
get
Linux
scared.
user right now, Jimmy.
I don't play first person. When do you see me play first person like anything? Very rarely.
Never.
If it's fast
Anyways.
paced, that's fast paced. Where there's a lot of movement, shit. Ugh.
Jimmy, how much would I have to donate to you to get you to play Valorant for an hour on stream?
I don't even, dude. I don't
Think about
understand
it.
game like that.
Just think about the number. I would love to watch that.
I mean, I could give you a number, but then I would basically just be guaranteeing you would never ask me again.
Right, that's true.
$5,000.
Anyways,
Thanks.
all right. Final topic of the night: Twitch versus YouTube, and this is something that has come up more so recently because we have some massive streamers leaving the Twitch platform and going over to YouTube for very legitimate reasons.
Money,
Twitch,
cash.
yeah, cash is a big
money.
one.
Yep.
But also when you look at each one of the massive streamers that moved, it all makes sense. I think out of all of the platforms, YouTube is probably one of the places where large streamers also have a large following already because they're just taking the content from Twitch and putting it over. So it totally makes sense. Jimmy, I know by default, because you're a partner, you get people asking you questions all the time because they think you're like the top echelon Illuminati. You have all the answers. You made it. You're successful. Have people been asking you, should I switch to YouTube? Should I leave Twitch and should I switch to YouTube?
Anyone ask me that?
Yeah.
No.
Really?
Like, no.
Surprising answer.
No, I mean, I think one of the reasons why Twitch maintains their part of Twitch is one thing that they're most successful with the live streaming component of the platform is the culture and the uniqueness with like the emotes and like all of that. But eventually, YouTube is going to close the gap when it comes to culture and all that stuff. And YouTube obviously has a lot of things going for it that Twitch does not have going for it. So, but when it comes to live streaming, I think Twitch, at least for now, maintains its leadership in where a lot of people prefer to go for live streams because of the culture and like kind of what you get, like the atmosphere of like going to a Twitch stream, you know, and with all that. But that's not something that I feel like they're gonna be able to continue to hang their hat on with. I don't have the specific numbers, but I know how massive overall viewership on YouTube is, and you know, the fact that they're throwing a lot of money at these big time streamers on Twitch to bring them over there tells me they're trying to build the same sort of culture over there and buying and using big names to do it, you know. And obviously YouTube is so well established that, you know, they're not going anywhere. You know what I mean? I think they should probably change it from YouTube Gaming because that's dumb, you know, because it's not just gaming that they have on their live. Like maybe it's YouTube Live or something like that. But yeah, it's interesting, and I will. You know, I don't see myself switching platforms. You know, YouTube creating content over there is totally different. Now, if you're creating live content, obviously it's the same. But I think those people go over there because, you know, you would have enough of an audience to where you could sustain, you know. I don't have this massive thousands of people audience like those big guys you just mentioned. So I think for most streamers, it wouldn't be advantageous to switch from either Twitch to YouTube or vice versa, you know, if you were already on one platform, you know?
Okay. Bishop, I know that you have a little bit of employment bias at the moment, and I don't know how freely that you can speak, but, you know, feel free to give me whatever you can. When it comes to Twitch as a viable candidate, do you feel like it's there? Do you feel like it is getting there? Do you feel like it's ever going to get there? What's your stance currently?
No, I'm switching to YouTube. No.
Oh shit! All right, right.
No, I'm just kidding.
See ya.
No, dude, listen. I've said this since the beginning. Like before, I worked with Twitch or for Twitch. Having competition in the space is great. Like this is fucking sweet. Like I want there to be competition because it keeps the pressure on Twitch to continue to make the best shit. Right? Like making the best content for the creators, being able to incentivize creators to hang around. It just incentivizes us to, you know, or them, not us. Sorry, I don't want to speak for them, but to to just make better stuff, right? Like it's good for creators as well, like having opportunities to go like have options to go different places, this and that. But yeah, like I think the thing personally that I realize is that there's a reason that I don't stream on YouTube, and that's because of, or like didn't stream on YouTube when I started streaming. Not only was YouTube a much smaller live platform, but at the end of the day, like I didn't have any interest in streaming on YouTube because of the DMCA stuff that was happening and all of the issues with YouTube and all of the, like, the community element didn't exist on YouTube. Like if you went into the comment section of any YouTube video, you're telling me that you want to stream to that group of people.
Yeah.
That's the reason I came to Twitch, because I didn't give a shit about politics. I didn't want to hear about it. And the community element of Twitch, I was captured by, right? So like watching different streamers, I loved the interaction that chat had the opportunity to like communicate with streamers. So I loved like what existed on Twitch, and that's ultimately why I started streaming there. But yeah, I think that the conversation around like, should you switch? It's like, sure, like do it if you want. Like, I don't think it makes that much of a difference where you stream. I think that there's pros and cons either way. I think if your objective is to build a community, you should build it wherever you possibly can. And if you're not having success on Twitch or not having success on YouTube, you should try it elsewhere. Like looking at Ludwig, like Ludwig in my eyes was always a YouTube creator, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at a lot of these people that came from YouTube to Twitch, why did they do that? Like it was during this big DMCA takedown. It was during like these big, YouTube was having some real bad press that a lot of people have forgotten about, because Twitch is the big name now that everyone can shit on. But people left YouTube because of demonetization, because of DMCA issues.
Yeah.
Plethora of things that
it was like all around 2018, 2019.
Yeah,
Apocalypse.
16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
So like, I don't forget that stuff, right? Like a lot of people now are looking at at these things, the movement, and it's like, okay, this is great. Like having more conversation going on is good. Having more opportunities in places that you can live is great. But at the end of the day, like wherever your content can exist, like produce it there, right? Wherever you have the best amount of opportunities, produce it there. The other thing that people need to realize that are the people that come to me, our communities, like you and me, Knackers, because we are like more tech guys than Jimmy, I would say. But people come to us asking us like, hey, what sort of microphone should I use? Or like, I know Jimmy gets asked this stuff a lot, but like, hey, what sort of mixer? What sort of lights are you using? Like all of those technical questions. People are just trying to find ways to succeed on Twitch, right? Or like succeed as a live streamer, as a content creator. And they come to us because we believe part of success is technical knowledge, right? Which Jimmy also believes this, but he doesn't have that as like a presentation on the front end of his streams. He's not like, hey, I've got this and this, and that's why I'm amazing. Even though like Knackers and I aren't doing that. But it's like, the thing to remember is that people aren't switching from Twitch to YouTube or from Twitch to Mixer because they feel like they want, like they're not hyper motivated to do that. They're getting paid to do that. Small streamers are not getting paid to do that. When this shit happened with Mixer back in the day, people followed Shroud and Ninja, and they were like, oh, we're going to start out on Mixer. And then Mixer dropped the ball on them and screwed them over. I don't think that that's going to happen likely at YouTube. But I think the main thing people need to focus on is the fact that when you build an audience, wherever you're building it, whether it's Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, wherever it is, build it somewhere and have multiple ways to reach that audience and to call upon them to come and engage with your content. So that's Discord, that's Twitter, that's Instagram, wherever you can possibly get them to interact with your content, because no platform is forever. Platforms change. The rules on platforms always change. So you don't know if like one thing is good, like Mixer, you don't know if that's going to last. In that instance, it didn't last. So people that built their audience on Mixer that didn't have a fallback plan, all of a sudden don't have an audience. So I think as long as you're producing good content, it doesn't matter where you produce it. It doesn't matter what label or t-shirt you wear. If you produce good content, people will come and find you. There's plenty of people on Twitch to watch your content. There's plenty of people on YouTube to watch your content. Do your best job at syndicating and building audiences at different places to drive traffic back to wherever you're live streaming. That's what I've always said. That's what I'm going to continue to say. I don't think that there's better options. Like in Ludwig's video, he at the very end of it, which Knackers you called out. I called it out immediately. but he was like, oh yeah, we don't get DMCA'd in this car. And it's like, YouTube is the DMCA playground. Like YouTube is the reason people started streaming on Twitch is because they could get away with streaming music where they couldn't do the same thing on YouTube with videos. They were getting demonetized for even speaking the lyrics of a song. So, and that's not the platform's fault. That's not YouTube's fault. And it's not Twitch's fault that these DMCA issues exist. It's just the law. It's the rules.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not gonna ride a surfboard every single time a wave kicks up. Whenever people start moving in different places.
Yes.
But I'm not gonna be married. Like, you know, I'm not married to any brand. I'm not married to any place that I produce content. Like tomorrow, I might never stream again, and I might just start producing TikToks. You know, and just only make TikToks, kind of like Knackers did. But he streams every now and then. You know.
Yeah. It's twice a week for 2 hours. It's funny you say that because I remember when I first started out streaming, I was very self-conscious about posting the same type of content to different platforms. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it was as accepted back then as it is now, to where it's now it's like post the same thing on as many different platforms at once just to get your shit out there. And what I've realized with growing, I've had a significant growth with my Twitter in the past year as well, in addition to TikTok. And what I've noticed is that there are certain people that don't desire to consume you in long form content ways. Like there are people who just want 45 seconds of you a day. And maybe it's not because they don't care to see you in long form content style. It's that they just don't prefer to consume long form content.
Yeah, that's generally me. There's very few people that I will actually watch any of their long form content because I generally just don't have the time, or I'm not working in a job where I can sit and listen and watch those types of things all day. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas, you know, just obviously it just depends on the person, but yeah, I agree with you 100%. And that's one of the reasons. It has nothing to do with you, the creator. It just might be that person's individual day and how it's put together. They might not be able to consume a lot of long form content. All they can do is, you know, their Twitter feed and a few things off of TikTok or whatever, and that's it.
And, you know, now that you say that, Jimmy, you just kind of brought up a point in my mind. I think that the introduction or the favorability of short form content in streaming has enabled streamers to keep up with other streamers more. And instead of it just being like all streamers are streaming all the time and that's only when you can catch them, with Instagram and with TikToks and with Twitter, like these little bite-sized versions of content allow us to kind of keep up with each other without having to dedicate a whole bunch of time, you know? And I'm going to be honest, there's times where I want to go into a stream, but I don't want to engage in long form content if I only have a short amount of time. I don't want to boot up a stream and see 30 minutes of a story. And sometimes that'll cause me to just not go to the stream at all. And at first I was like, wait, is this right? Am I a douchebag for this? But I think it's just human nature.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I don't really want to commit all of this right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to find something that I can just kind of get into and get out of.
Totally.
Yeah. And I think like, look at the UFC. Right? The UFC doesn't go dark after one of their events ends, right? Like when they do a live show, they charge you PPV to watch that show. People are engaged and are required to sit and watch that live, right? They then produce a ton of content on the back end that's snippets of that. So if you care about the results, like last night, I think it was last night or the night before, there was a UFC fight with Cody Garbrandt. Garbrandt. I didn't care to watch the fight. Like I wasn't motivated enough to go somewhere to watch it or to pay to watch it. So I didn't really care to watch it. But I watched the fuck out of the highlights this morning when I woke up. When I saw the newsreel, I was like, oh, cool. Cody got knocked out. Let's see what happened. Like, I want to see what happened. He lost. Oh no, he lost again. What, like, how do I see a bite-sized version of that? Same thing with the F1 or like Formula One. Max Verstappen won the championship for the first time. Red Bull's back. I haven't watched a full F1 race in years. Okay. Years. I don't like, I'm not a Formula One guy, but I want to know what the newsreels are. Like, I want to know what the story is. And the Twitch is in live streaming is all the same. And like going back to your point, like syndicating content or like producing content in multiple places, like you're taking your live stuff, clipping it down, posting it on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, whatever it is. The one thing, I agree. Yes. Share it as much as possible. Your highlights, right? If you want to share those little moments, but provide context to it too, right? This is an opportunity to create a plussed up version of content instead of just like trimming exactly that moment and sharing it. Like give people context of what they're watching, what point of the show this was in, when this happened, like what they're seeing in that exact moment. Or provide context in relation to something that's trending on TikTok, right? Like maybe you see a TikTok trend and you're like, whoa, that sounds kind of cool. That's similar, like that trend or that feeling that this trend evokes is similar to like this PogChamp moment that happened on Twitch. Let me clip that together in the format of this TikTok. And I think people have to it's easy to produce content and post it in multiple places. If you can tell a story while also doing that and plus it up, great. Knackers, point. Go ahead.
I almost forgot about this earlier. Do you have a way to get me the 3D version of PogChamp so that I could 3D print it?
Yes, but no.
Okay.
No.
Okay. No. You don't.
No.
For only personal consumption.
So what I'm saying is that technically I have a way to do that, but I'm not going to.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So, because you said, can I? It's kind of like when you asked your teacher if you could go to the bathroom and they're like, you can. And then they look at you weird and it's like, can I? Like,
so
okay?
let's say that I wanted to give you a trophy of one of your achievements, and I wanted to give you a. That's all right. That's a no. Are you shaking your head yes, but saying no?
No.
What? Are you dumb? Are you daft? This is being recorded. Shut up! He's giving you this. You damn.
Jimmy's losing his fucking mind
Come
over
on.
here. But yes, no.
But absolutely.
So that was I almost lost it early in the show, and there it's sealed. No, the answer is no.
But I was thinking about 3D printing it, and I was thinking about how cool that would be.
But then you realized you couldn't because no.
Yeah,
right.
I'll talk to you about it.
I'm gonna tell you no personally.
I want to get on a call with you after this and tell you no specifically to your face.
Any final thoughts about the Twitch and YouTube?
No,
it's just going to keep going, man. This is going to be a continuing trend. It's good to have, like I said, good to have competition. When Facebook first popped off, people were like, that shit's lame. Facebook's now massive, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge company. I mean, Meta, sorry, Facebook. And Twitch is Facebook, to be honest, because YouTube was first. So, I mean, and then MySpace tried to do what Facebook was doing. But it's as long as there's competition, the better place will prevail, and it's going to be Twitch. In my opinion, it's going to be Twitch.
Agreed.
But you should be making YouTube content just in case as well.
Just if you like YouTube, if you want to produce YouTube content, great. If you like TikTok, honestly, produce content on the platforms that you use most, because then you'll have the most knowledge as to what people are expecting to see, and you can produce content within that format. So if you love TikTok videos and you spend 4 hours on the shitter watching TikTok every day, you should make some TikTok videos because you know what you're sitting and watching. So for instance, if it's Jimmy's feed, you're going to see a bunch of dancing and Renegade and stuff like that going on.
Lay outfits.
Yeah, lay outfits, stuff like that.
Thirst traps.
Get in a lay outfit and thirst trap people with your Warzone content.
Mm-hmm. Rose bushes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Wine boxes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my friends, that's the 2-hour mark. We're going to cut it right the fuck there because we're good Christian boys. So why don't we go around the room? We're going to have everybody introduce who they are in case for some fucking reason anybody in chat or in the future doesn't know. So, Mr. Bishop, we will start with you, sir.
My name is Elliot Bishop, BishopGP on Twitch, and or Bishop was here on Twitter. If you'd like to follow me on either of those places, that'd be sweet. Or just hit me up, we just talk on Twitter. We in the DMs. We can be like, yeah, what up, player? How's it going? Just hit me up anytime. I don't know if this is an announcement. I don't think it is. But I've been looking for time to stream because I want to stream again just to kind of get back into the motion of it. I think it's bad practice to be involved in the streaming industry and working in the space without actually streaming every now and then. I think it's good to it's like trying to speak for basketball players but not playing basketball. It makes no sense. So and I love streaming. I just hate the lead up to streaming. I hate thinking about streaming and have to plan shit out. I like doing things on the fly. But I think during this break, I have a break from the 17th to the 1st. I have a big break of having to do nothing. It's a national or the whole holiday break for Twitch. So I think I'm going to stream during that break. I think I'm going to come back and I'm going to hang out And I had an idea, but I'm not going to tell you what that idea is. But I'll give you some context. So I haven't been streaming for a long time, but I have people that have subscribed through that period, and I'm doing really well right now. And one of my thoughts is that if I take the aggregation of all those subs and what it costs them, they can come into my stream and we can do a shopping spree on Amazon. But the challenge is that chat has to decide what they're getting.
So wait, the person, so let's say Timmy T-Boner comes in and he's dropped $100 in the past 2 years. Is he getting $100 worth of goods, or is everybody deciding?
Oh shit, my headset just died. Well, hey guys, it's been a good, so my headset's dead. You guys can't hear, or I can't hear Knackers, but I guess that's good. But let's say that they've subbed for 10 months. I will buy them $50 worth of value.
Okay.
Even though I'm losing money there, I think it's fun and I think it's exciting, and I think that would be a fun little deal. So if you haven't subbed to me, go fuck you. I'm just kidding. But I already know that there's only like 3 people, so it's not like I'm gonna lose my ass on it. But I thought that would be
right.
Because I don't like. It's very difficult. Obviously, I owe those people nothing, right? But I also feel it's like, okay, you've paid all this money to keep your sub streak alive. That means more to you, obviously, than it means to me. So how do I pay that forward? Because I don't need your money, realistically. Like, I don't need the sub money that's been accumulating in my PayPal. So how can I use that to produce content and make it fun for them and give them, just an idea. Just an idea. I like it. I'm like really rich, man. I'm just big time.
I was about to say, you don't need shit, do you?
I mean, it's what, like $100, man. It's not that much, but I'll be okay.
Jimmy?
I'm Jimmy, or Jimbles, or MiddleAgedStream. You can find me on Twitch and TikTok at MiddleAgedStream, MiddleAgedStream on Twitter. I don't know what I'm going to be playing next right now. I just beat NES Zelda, and I know some people are trying to talk me into playing Zelda 2, but that game is so different than the first one, man. Ugh, I don't know.
What about Ocarina of Time? Play some N64 games, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking though, if I play, I may skip Zelda 2 and jump into Link to the Past on Super Nintendo. I'm thinking about that, maybe. That might be a fun one. Or I might just go a totally different direction. Who fucking knows? We'll see.
Play Oracle of Seasons.
The Game Boy one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that one was good. Yeah, I haven't never touched any of the Game Boy Zeldas, and a lot of people have been talking about that too, so.
Or
cool.
You want to play a 2 game? Play Super Mario Brothers 2, one of the greatest Super Mario games of all time. Terrible game. Chad, do you see the taste of my co-hosts? Jesus Christ.
Not even a real Mario game. Doki Doki Panic, look it up.
Oh! But somebody designed it. I fucking love Super Mario 2. That's one of my favorite Mario games of all time.
I know.
Hands down. Hi, everybody. My name is Knackers. You guys can find me on this very Twitch channel live twice a week on Tuesdays and Sundays. I've got a new YouTube video coming out, my weekly YouTube video, 10 a.m. tomorrow, if you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel. And this is our last group show. I might have one more podcast before the end of the year, but this is our last group show before the end of the year. So the next Crocs and Hot Pockets for Bishop and MiddleAgedStream will be January 9th. So I doubt there is going to be somebody who wants to do a podcast on the 26th. So we might just have one show next Sunday, and we'll go from there. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for hanging out for the
I'm sorry to totally throw this podcast off. Is there anything coming out for Christmas this year that's like a tech product? No Xbox stuff. There's no game releases.
I still can't get a fucking PS5, dude. So whatever.
No PS5s, no Xbox. There's what is coming out this year? Like, what are people excited for? Maybe that's a Twitter.
Getting
Twitter
a
question.
PS5?
Tweet us out. Tweet it out. Hashtag podcast Knackers' podcast the Crocs and hot sandals.
Actually, I thought of a new name for the podcast. I don't know when I'm going to put it into production, but it's dumb, makes no sense, but it's funny and I like it.
Okay.
Just like the first time I came up with a name for this podcast. We'll see if it sticks.
Fair enough.
But yeah, there really isn't.
There's
any
nothing. I came to that realization because I was like, what? The 26 show. What could it be? Could it be us talking about the cool stuff that people got for Christmas? But There's nothing, man. It's garbage, man.
Also, who gets things for Christmas anymore? Do you guys get things for
Well,
Christmas?
that's kind of why I wanted to do this idea with the sub money, because I have no one to give anything to for Christmas, man. I have no plans, man.
Winnie and I started giving each other Christmas gifts in November. We've already given each other all of our Christmas gifts, so we will just be banging on Christmas, most likely.
Gross.
The gift of excrement. Secretion.
Excrementcretion. Hashtag excrementcretion on Twitter, guys.
Hashtag Juthith. You know what I'm saying? All right, everybody, we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Crocs and Not Pockets podcast. We will see you later, or we will see you on another time. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you later. Goodbye!
Tickle!
Oh, my God,
It
that
worked.
wasn't even the real Jimmy!
Wait, do the goodbye one. Goodbye.
Tickle!